This is a severe weather update from We Are Iowa's most accurate weather team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Canusa with a severe weather update. If you live in the west side of the Des Moines Metro, you might be hearing tornado sirens blaring as we speak. There is no immediate tornado threat, but there is a threat for some very strong, damaging straight line winds that will be making its way toward the Des Moines Metro within the hour. Folks in western Iowa have already experienced some pretty extreme winds so far this morning. So let's start by taking a look at the radar and what's happening right now. What happened is we had a cluster of storms develop in South Dakota overnight and have strengthened as they've moved into western Iowa this morning. So if you could please pull up Max 2 for me, we'll show you the radar here. We're looking at strong straight line winds moving through parts of western Iowa this morning. Looks like Max 2 is not working for us here. All right, so we have strong straight line winds moving through western Iowa right now. They have a history of producing damaging straight line winds up to 75 miles per hour. In fact, there was a measured wind gust of 74 miles per hour in Glidden, just to the east of Carroll in Carroll County not too long ago. So this system is pretty serious as it continues to race to the east at about 50 miles per hour, and now it's has its sights on the I-35 corridor, including Ames and Des Moines. And as we zoom in here to show you that warning, there is a warning in effect for the western side of the Des Moines Metro until 11 o'clock this morning. The actual storm itself still quite a ways away to the west in parts of Guthrie County, moving into Greene County right now, and that is where the extreme winds are occurring at this moment. But as it pushes eastward pretty quickly, folks in Boone County, Dallas County, get ready for some strong wind gusts, and then eventually that will make its way towards Story and Polk County here within the hour. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for many of those areas until 11 o'clock this morning. Brandon is with me here, meteorologist Brandon Lawrence, and why don't you talk a little about the storm for a minute while we try to get this graphic situation figured out.
Sure, yeah. So essentially what's going on right now, as Taylor kind of brought to you and recapped to you, is we've got severe thunderstorms that are pulling across western and west central Iowa right now. So these are all severe as they push in our direction. So if you just heard what sounds like the sirens, that is them, especially right here in the metro, as we now have severe thunderstorm warnings coming in through Boone County, Dallas County, and into the extreme west side of Polk County. These storms developed several hours ago, in fact early this morning in parts of South Dakota, and they have held together. So now we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings as they come into central Iowa. So Taylor is taking a closer look here right now. This is sort of the southern edge of those storms, although you'll notice that these severe thunderstorm warnings go to the south. This one for Adair, Cass, and Guthrie County, and it doesn't look overly severe when you see it on the radar, but there is enough strong wind here. We've had wind gusts reported up to 74 miles per hour earlier today in the Glidden area, and now the strongest of the winds are going to be moving into Boone County and into Guthrie County as we speak. So they'll be moving right through Guthrie County and moving through Greene County and eventually knocking on the door there in Boone County as well. So we're going to be timing that out here, and Taylor is putting a track on that for you. It's about 10:20 right now. We've got an arrival time at about 10:40 in Perry, the Urbandale area just before 11. So right at the start of our Local 5 News midday program, the 11 a.m. newscast, we will see these arriving in the Des Moines Metro. And the reason that we're on the air for this is because we could be looking at wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour or greater in some cases. And again, that could cause tree damage. We could see power line problems, and we could see power outages as well. In fact, earlier, a report from the National Weather Service recorded 23,000 customers without power in the Omaha metro, and so we have to assume that as these storms have continued to move pretty quickly, they're pretty intense, that same type thing, hopefully not that many, but still a similar type setup possible here. And we've already had reports of limbs down, trees down in parts of western Iowa, and so the most intense part of the storm, again, moving through Greene County and Guthrie County now, but it will be knocking on the door momentarily for Boone County and Dallas County as well, Taylor. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the storms as they go through the morning. We'll have those pretty strong wind gusts, and you see, of course, we could see any mode of severe weather here because of the type setup that we have, but our strongest concern, or our biggest concern, would be for damaging winds. That is a high potential. We could also see isolated large hail in this, and on the leading edge of this line, Taylor, we can't totally rule out a chance of an isolated spin-up tornado. That's a lower end threat, but still something we have to watch carefully.
Yeah, so the technical term for this is it's a quasi-linear convective system, QLCS. And on the leading edge of these QLCS systems, you can get some rotation, as Brandon mentioned. And we have noticed on the radar there has been at least some mild rotation on the leading edge of these storms. You can get quick spin-up tornadoes, so that is possible. That is not an imminent threat. And that is not the reason the tornado sirens are sounding in the metro, but that is something we will be keeping an eye on over the next few hours. Go ahead and pop Max 1 back up for me, and I'll go ahead and continue to talk over this and show the radar, keep folks informed. We're going to stay on here all the way up through midday, so we apologize for interrupting your program, but this does warrant extended coverage. I know there's no tornado threat immediately right now, but this is one of the strongest storms we have had so far this summer, moving out of western Iowa, approaching the Des Moines metro. This is a bow echo, you can call it that as well, and the leading edge of that bow is heading directly for the Des Moines metro. In fact, why don't we show some of the reports we've had so far. This has a history of producing over 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That has already occurred in Carroll County, just to the east of Carroll. In Glidden, 74-mile-per-hour gust reported just about 20 minutes ago there. Several reports of trees knocked down around Carroll County. Manning, a report of 6-inch diameter tree limb that was knocked down there. Several other reports of tree damage across the area in western Iowa this morning. You can see all of those markers there indicate where there has been damage or severe wind gusts recorded. In fact, let's head down to Atlantic here, where the heart of this system isn't necessarily located in Atlantic, but still a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust recorded there at 10:10 a.m. So this system is fairly serious, even on the kind of the outskirts of the storm. There are some strong wind gusts that can be considered severe. Meanwhile, up in far northern Iowa, non-severe storms developing not too far away from Mason City, pretty close to Hampton at this point, a developing storm there. Those are not severe right now, but could become severe over time. But basically, west central Iowa, which desperately needs this rain, and it's great to see that, is also getting, unfortunately, the severe side of this system, and that is some damaging straight line winds. We get it every summer, and unfortunately it's happening again. Before I toss it to Brandon, I'm just going to roll through some reports we're getting from the National Weather Service. Large trees knocked down, blocking roads in Templeton, Carroll County, in Crawford County, semi-jackknife due to strong winds. And then also in Denison and Crawford County, tree damage in town, tree fell on a neighbor's car, tree damage throughout the county, and that was about 30 minutes to an hour ago. So that's the same storm that is now moving toward central Iowa, including the Des Moines metro. And again, the Des Moines metro, at least the west side, is under a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 11 o'clock. I would imagine there will then be a severe thunderstorm warning issued for the rest of the metro shortly after that, between 11 and noon, Brandon. Yeah, we are concerned, of course, we mentioned with the possibility of wind damage, but we also have some power outages already. Remember, I told you just a moment ago, 23,000 were without power in the Omaha metro. This is the latest from Mid-American Energy, Taylor. Over 3,000, in fact, close to 3,700 customers without power in the Fort Dodge area already, and over 3,600 in the Council Bluffs area. I want to remind folks as we continue to do our coverage here that if you do happen to lose power in your area, we got you covered. You have our We Are Iowa app. We are on Facebook Live with the latest information as well. So if you download that app, sign up for watches and warnings, that type of thing, we are live streaming right there. So if you do lose power and you want to continue watching our coverage of these storms as they pull right into central Iowa and the metro, that is going to be our biggest thing right there that we'll have to keep a close watch on for. So here's what we have as these storms roll through into western and west central Iowa. They're pretty intense. We're most concerned with the winds, but there's also torrential rain with this as well. You may hear those sirens sounding. When we hear that, that means we could be seeing wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour or greater. So I want folks to be indoors as these storms come in, away from windows and doors. I know we always talk about that in a tornado type setup, and even though we don't have an immediate threat of a tornado, we know from many past storms here in Iowa, and certainly from just how storms do develop and intensify and move across our region, wind gusts could cause just as much, if not more, damage than a tornado. So it's not that this is less significant than a tornado warning, it's just a different type setup. So we want folks to be prepared for that as these do pull in. Taylor, if you want, why don't we zoom in? You're showing here the rate of precipitation, which is probably upwards of an inch, if not more, in these areas right where the heart of the storm is. Could we zoom in right on the leading edge of the storm just to kind of pinpoint exactly where the initial wind is going to get started? You'll hear thunder and you'll see lightning well before then.
but this will be kind of where the initial leading edge of the wind is. And these brighter colors that you see here popping up just south of Jefferson, this is our velocity tracker. The brighter colors represent where we would likely see the highest wind gusts out of anywhere. So it's right there in Greene County, southeast of Jefferson, and then also these areas right here down into Dallas County, these brighter greens that'll be moving into Perry, moving into Adel. Those are areas that Taylor, we're watching for the strongest wind gusts right now.
Now, okay, so what I just did here is I clicked on a point in Greene County, just south of Jefferson. The radar estimate on radar is saying over 100 miles per hour velocity of the winds. Now, that's radar estimate, and that is probably a couple thousand feet above the ground. So,
a bit extreme.
Yeah, that's probably not completely accurate, but I think we can safely say 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are expected with this storm that's moving through Greene County right now. It's approaching Boone County right now. It's going to be in Dallas County pretty soon. That bright white, that light green that is in Greene County right there near Jefferson, that is the strongest part of the storm, where the strongest straight line winds are located, and that's going to push east-southeast. So it's going to clip southern Boone County, probably northern Dallas County, and eventually might make its way near the metro. Those winds, 60, 70 miles per hour, are easily strong enough to knock down power lines and trees. We have already seen that happen in Carroll County, and it's probably happening right now in Greene County as well.
Yeah, and this is, the area that we've had to watch the last several type severe weather events. It's been southern Boone County, northern Dallas County, and parts of northern Polk County that have sort of been a magnet for storms over the last several months, the ones that have developed and become severe. I'm not saying that'll be the case this time, but interesting that these are developing, and it'll be pushing, as Taylor said, east-southeast right now. So if you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, or hearing the sirens, I definitely want you to be inside right now as these storms pass through and just look at that wall of lightning. A lot of strikes there, Taylor, as these storms roll through. That's, another threat that comes along with this aside from the wind. That's over 600 strikes there. Is that higher? Am I reading that right? Now up to 700
now, and that's in the last 10 minutes.
So these are all moving towards central Iowa right now.
Yep, that's right. So let me pop the warnings back up just to in case folks are just joining us. We are now down to, I believe that's all one warning, Brandon.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a big warning, and that's often what two different ones, I'm sorry. But they're virtually the same timing. They both expire at 11 a.m. The southern one for Adair, Clark, Madison, and Union counties, that is in effect until 11 o'clock, and then the one farther to the north is also in effect until 11 o'clock this morning. That includes Boone, Dallas, Greene, and far western Polk County. Technically does not include the city of Des Moines just yet, but West Des Moines, Waukee, Urbandale, all included in that warning. We're going to have a warning for the entire metro here soon. So if you live on the east side of the metro and you're not in a warning yet, plan ahead. It looks like probably close to 11 o'clock is when the strong wind is going to arrive to the west side of the metro, and then maybe closer to 11:10, 11:15 for the east side of the metro. And again, straight line winds 60 to 70 miles per hour are definitely a possibility with this storm system. We have already had measurements, so it's not just something we're making up with our fancy equipment here. It has been measured. There have been trees that have been knocked down, power outages, and that's something that is certainly a possibility for the Des Moines metro. There's nothing that's going to slow this thing up, Brandon.
Looks like we have reports too. This is from Evan Bunkers, one of our team members here, says that his family is from Jefferson, multiple trees down and power outages there in the Greene County area as well, working on getting some photos of that. But in the Jefferson area, reports of multiple trees down as well, which makes sense with what we saw on the radar there on the velocity tracker with those storms. And I would imagine that as we see essentially the leading edge of the wind gusts, Taylor, come closer to the metro, we're going to be doing that as well. In fact, coordinating with the National Weather Service, they have now reported at least a 70-mile-per-hour gust in the Sheridan area, debris on roads in that area. And they've also said, this essentially looks like it is coming right for the Des Moines metro as well.
Yep. And along with that, Sheridan reports near Perry, a 2-foot diameter tree knocked down. That's a pretty good sized tree. So this is serious stuff. Just west-southwest of Bagley in Guthrie County. Estimated 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts occurred there about 10 minutes ago, along with some pea-sized hail. Hail is probably not going to be as much of a threat here. We could get a couple instances of hail up to quarter size, but it definitely looks like the straight-line winds are the primary threat here. Again, with this bow echo that is heading directly for the Des Moines metro, I am expecting trees, power lines to be knocked down. There will likely be power outages in parts of the Des Moines metro as this moves through here within the next hour. So, Brandon, that's why we're going to continue with our team coverage here for the entirety of this event as it rolls through central Iowa.
Yeah, and I always like to remind folks, I know I said it earlier, but perhaps you've joined on in the last couple of minutes. If you do experience a power outage, not to worry. We're still going to be here for you tracking the storm. We are on the We Are Iowa app. It's we have a live stream there where you can watch us doing the storm coverage. You can also check us out on Facebook, the We Are Iowa Local 5 News Facebook page. We have a live stream, and on our website, weareiowa.com. I just want you to know that if power goes out in your area, you're not left in the dark when it comes to storm coverage. We'll still be on the air keeping an eye on that for you. So to reset, it is just after 10:30 now. Taylor Knust and I are on the air live bringing you coverage of some severe weather moving into central Iowa and approaching the Des Moines metro now. This is a pretty powerful line of storms that has had a history of producing at least 70+ mile-per-hour wind gusts as it moved through western and west central Iowa, and now it is approaching central Iowa, where Taylor is drawing this blue line and putting a track on it. That is where the leading edge of the wind gusts is right now. That's the leading edge. So you see within the next 20 minutes or so, we'll have an arrival time in Waukee and Urbandale right around 11 a.m. or just before in the Des Moines metro. And should this continue on that same path and at the same intensity, it'll eventually move into Jasper County and also up into the western, or the eastern part rather, of Story County. So it'll be moving through Ames and Nevada. I know we keep talking about the Des Moines metro, but we're not forgetting about folks that are on the southern or northern edge of this as well, because this is a pretty big line of storms. We've already had over 3,000 customers, that was at least 5 minutes ago, reported without power in Fort Dodge. So I imagine the number has gone up, and I would imagine we will be seeing power outages trickling into central Iowa here soon.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brandon. So really the bulk of this storm, the strongest part, is in that warned area west of Des Moines, west of Ames. In particular, Greene County just got hit very hard. Southern Boone County, batten down the hatches. If you're not inside now, you need to be very soon. You're probably seeing some dark clouds heading your way, and certainly some heavy rain following shortly behind that as well. This system's moving very quickly as well, so you might be caught off guard. It might look just fine outside for 1 second, and then the next moment it's rushing your way. This is moving to the east-southeast, I believe at 50 miles per hour at last check.
That's fast for a big line of storms.
Yeah, and it might even be picking up steam a little bit. So this is a serious situation. It's going to be a rapidly changing situation as it arrives in your doorstep. And let me just see, moving east at 55 miles per hour now, according to the National Weather Service, so moving even quicker. Yeah, now I'm starting to think, Brandon, as you kind of mentioned there, the strongest of these winds probably approaching even the city of Des Moines around 11 o'clock, and probably even sooner than that for the west side of the metro, maybe in another 10 to 15 minutes. We're getting reports out of Minburn of 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts, so that's starting to move into Dallas County. And many 6-inch limbs down in Calhoun County. So even on the north side of this system, along with some power lines knocked down there, they're experiencing some problems as well. Yeah, so it has got quite wide-ranging effects, as you hear, from Calhoun County. We've talked about Carroll County, Greene County, where they've had damage with this line as it pulls through. And the reason that we are on the air right now with you is because this is only moments away from entering the west side of the Des Moines metro, as Taylor said, probably within the next 10 to 12 minutes or so. And this is a pretty intense storm all the way from the north to the south. In fact, they extended, I believe, the severe thunderstorm warning to go into parts of the Highway 20 corridor as it moves. So yeah, this is the area too that we haven't talked a whole lot about, but Fort Dodge technically not in the warning, but boy, you're pretty close to it. We've got intense rainfall rates in southern Webster County, and also southern Hamilton County is going to be in the path of this pretty quickly. Also the wind gusts. So if you're in the Stratford area, Gowrie is getting pounded with heavy rain, and we'll be watching this as it pushes toward Jewell as well. So it goes that far north and then extends all the way through the metro and down to the south as well. That's right. And let me take a minute to show you the severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect for basically all of central Iowa. Those of you in far southern Iowa will probably dodge the bullet here. You might get some gusty winds, but the severe chances are fairly low with that. So that's good news for you folks down in far southern Iowa. Now, if you're in southeast Iowa, Ottumwa, Sheraton, Albia, Oskaloosa, yes, you could get some damaging wind gusts with this system. It's moving east, but it's drifting a little bit south as well. So I think the severe threat is going to be near the I-80 corridor here, perhaps Highway 30 the next hour or so, but then gradually drifting southward closer to I-80 and then eventually closer to Highway 34 in southern Iowa, closer to Ottumwa, Albia, and that probably arrives for those folks in southeast Iowa in the early afternoon. Continuing with that straight line wind threat, a stray brief tornado is possible as well. We'll be keeping a close eye out for that possibly developing, but the primary concern continues to be damaging straight line winds. We have had confirmation of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, even measured up to 74 miles per hour in Carroll County about 30 minutes ago, and we continue with the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect until 2 o'clock this afternoon for all those areas in pink. Also getting a new report 7 miles northwest of Adel, damage to large tree limbs being down on a house. No power there, estimated to be 60 mile per hour or stronger. So we're looking at, again, some substantial winds now making their way into Dallas County, and if you live in Waukee, get ready. You might be seeing some dark skies heading your way from the west, and it's going to be a matter of minutes before you start feeling the impacts of this system, Brandon.
Yeah, so if folks also want to send us, I urge you to do this with caution because I don't want anyone going out there when we have these strong storms moving through. But if you're ahead of the leading edge of this storm and you see the really dark clouds, you probably see something that looks like a shelf cloud. We love photos. We love videos. We want to know what's happening in your area, so let us know for sure. You can send those to us by texting the number 515-457-1026. You can send us photos or videos there, and also on our Facebook page or through email. That is at news@weareiowa.com. This is the area where we are watching, and I see Taylor pulling up what is our what we call shear tracker, which essentially shows where there might be a tiny bit of spin trying to get going. And is that what you're looking at right now?
Yeah. Concerned about that. So you see the blues here south of Ogden. That's where the radar is indicating there is some rotation there. Shear is a change of wind in direction or speed with height. So that's where you get that rotation. That's what shear means. Let me pull back up the Doppler radar here, and you can.
It looks like a little bit of
see a hook
inflow.
There. Yeah. Let me try to draw that out for you just to give you an idea.
So what Taylor is showing here is this little curve in the storm. Essentially, it looks like what we call a hook in a storm. So there might be a little bit of air flowing in, and it might be trying to rotate a little bit. Now, we talked just moments ago about how this type of thing can happen on the leading edge. We call them QLCS. Spin-up tornadoes. It's not an imminent threat, but it is something that we have to watch very carefully for. And sometimes they spin up very quickly and only give you a couple moments notice when they do so. So that's something that we'll be watching here on the southern edge of Boone County. You notice that's south of Ogden, south of Beaver, and just to the east of Rippey, basically the southwest corner of Boone County.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll put this into motion just to see where it's going. Yeah, moving fairly straight east with that little area of rotation there. So if you want to play it extra safe, which I'd recommend, if you live in Luther, Madrid, over to Kelly and Huxley, you might want to just get in your safe place just in case. You're going to get this very strong straight line winds anyways. So, you definitely don't want to be near windows at this time as the storm approaches. But if you want to get down to your basement just to play it safe here, there might be a quick spin up tornado in that little hook there that you can see on radar just to the south of Ogden right now. And that's moving to the east, close to Luther right now. Last check, there is no tornado warning, so that is good to see. But
again, something that could come,
the Weather Service could issue one here at any time, and there is at least some modest rotation at this point, so we'll keep you updated on that. But Brandon, do you want to mention why there are tornado sirens being sounded in Des Moines right now?
Sure, yeah, I hear them in my ear, and we're at our studios in West Des Moines. You're probably hearing them in central Iowa as well. So the criteria for sounding a siren in Polk and Dallas County is 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts or greater, at least the threat of that. So as these storms pull in, it doesn't mean that there's an imminent tornado threat, but it could still mean that we have that concern for wind gusts of 70 miles per hour or greater, which is likely what we are going to see coming through the metro area. So that's why you hear the sirens. With 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, I want folks to know, just because it's not a tornado warning, we have seen it happen before. It can happen again. Wind gusts, strong wind gusts, can produce the same type of damage, same type of setup that a tornado can, and sometimes they come a little bit more out of the blue for folks because the winds pick up very quickly on the leading edge of the storm. So I'm not saying that we're going to have as much widespread damage. I hope we don't, but it is always something that can happen. And now I see what you're pulling up there. It looks like all of our severe thunderstorm warnings have been expanded to now include the entire Des Moines metro.
Yep, exactly right. New warning just issued by the National Weather Service. It does include the entirety of Des Moines, Ames. It extends eastward to Newton. Looks like just to the west of Marshalltown, but you'll experience some strong winds eventually in Marshalltown. The tag on this is 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds possible with this storm as it enters the Des Moines metro, plus quarter-size hail possible. But certainly the straight line winds have been and will continue to be the main threat as it approaches Ames and Des Moines. That new warning is in effect until 11:30 this morning. It's not too often we see severe weather around this time, but that's how Mother Nature is dialing things up today. So straight line winds are the primary threat. If you live anywhere in the Des Moines metro, you need to stay indoors as the storm passes by. Not a good time to be on the roads between now and 11:30. After that, go ahead and grab lunch. You'll be fine. But the next 45 minutes, it's going to be a rough go of it for us in Des Moines and in Ames. It looks like the leading edge of the storm is approaching Waukee as we speak, and it's going to be moving into West Des Moines pretty soon. If you want to pull up Sky Tracker 5, looking to west in West Des Moines, you'll see those dark skies moving toward the Des Moines metro here, and it's definitely looking dark to the west right now as heavy rain falls over Dallas County. There you go. We're dry in West Des Moines at this second. That's going to change here in about 5 minutes or so. We're going to experience some very strong winds that could knock out power. Definitely a possibility of knocking some tree limbs down and even some power lines down. This storm has had a history of doing that. 10:32 this morning, northwest of Adel, there was a tree limb knocked down that fell in a house, knocked out power for them as well. Several 6-inch tree limbs knocked down near Perry. Back toward Calhoun County. Minburn reporting 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So it's all the way up from Webster County down through Boone County, Dallas County, even in Madison County, you could be experiencing up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in that part of the state this morning. So Brandon, widespread damaging wind threat for us over the next hour or two.
Yeah, and you know, I shudder to think about this. This is something that we often don't mention when we talk about tree damage, but I can't help but think about the crops out there. You know, this is peak season for so many farmers, and I am concerned about that. So we'll be watching to see if we get some sort of crop damage from this as well. Again, I certainly hope we don't, but, you know, it'll be something that we have to watch very carefully. I do want to reset for just a minute. It's 10:45 Monday morning, just before you would be preparing to watch Local 5 News midday at 11 a.m. And meteorologist Taylor Knust and I are live here tracking severe thunderstorms, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings as they push into central Iowa as we speak. We've got a pretty intense line of storms rolling in. You probably hear tornado sirens outside in the metro area. That is because of the threat for wind gusts of 70 miles per hour or greater with this line of storms. And it has had a history of producing wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. Taylor just relayed so many things to you about damage that we've had in all sorts of places. Jefferson, Minburn, Adel, back into Calhoun and Carroll County, and all the way over into, I believe, even Harlan and out into the Omaha metro. There was some damage earlier, and a lot of power outages with that as well. So any minute now, this is going to be moving into the west side of the Des Moines metro. It's probably not far off right now at all. So we've got a pretty intense, potent line moving in, and you see where this is curving just a bit. So you see kind of how it curves out on the radar. That is what we call a bowing segment. That means that the winds are bowing out a little bit more, and we are seeing that very strong wind potential right on the leading edge of this. So it'll be moving into the west side of the metro here pretty soon. And you see we have severe thunderstorm warnings from all the way up into Hamilton County, down through Webster County, and then basically everybody along the Highway 30 corridor, everybody along I-80, and then essentially folks who are north of Highway 92. So this does include Winterset. It does include the north side of Warren County. So we're talking about the airport area and also Norwalk and also the northern side of Marion County. So if you're in Pella, this includes you. Obviously, the storm is still a ways away, but it'll be something that we watch as it comes a little bit closer to central Iowa as well. And Sarah, I heard my producer say something, but if you can repeat that for me. Okay, we do have more power outages as we are now learning as these storms roll in, which we expected. We've got at least 2,500 in the Des Moines metro already. And that just says something, Taylor, that we have that many power outages already. 2,500 in the Des Moines metro, and the leading edge, the big part of the storm essentially, is not even here yet. So it is just moments away. I do want to remind you, I know I've said it a few times, but I always like folks to know if you do happen to lose power, we want you to stay with us for storm coverage. We will cover it through the duration of the storms, and we will be on Facebook Live. We will be on our app, We Are Iowa app. You can download that for free in the App Store or Google Play Store, and you can also catch our live stream right there, also on weareiowa.com. So there's many places where you can catch this right from your smartphone that you don't have to have the power to watch us there. And now, as we approach 10:48 a.m., just a few minutes before 11, Taylor, this is basically here on the west side of the metro now.
Yep, that's right. Folks in Waukee, perhaps Grimes, already experiencing the first bits of rain, and then the gusty winds. You know what? Oftentimes the winds will jump ahead of the rain, but this whole system is moving so quickly that it's probably going to be arriving around the same time.
Right on cue, I hear a ton of thunder in West Des Moines now.
Okay, yep. So here we go. Go ahead and stay inside if you live anywhere in the Des Moines metro from right now through at least 11:15, maybe even 11:30. Just go ahead and stay inside, away from windows, because sometimes these strong winds can pick up debris, loft them into a window and crack that, and can lead to some injuries if you're close to a window. So that's why we say play it safe if possible. Just 1 second here, and I'm going to pull up the velocity imagery on Max 2 here, which I believe we have back up. It's up and loading. So anyways, in the meantime, again, if you live in Des Moines, even up toward Ames, that's another area that's going to experience some gusty winds. Straight line winds in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range are a possibility in the near future. Farther to the north in Rockwell City in Calhoun County, 8-inch tree limbs down there, power lines knocked down, trees down all over town is the report. Oh, and how about this, Brandon? The new tag from the National Weather Service for this storm moving into the metro here is not only is a tornado possible, which they'll issue on severe thunderstorm warnings occasionally, they have upgraded the straight line wind threat to 80 miles per hour possible from the metro into southern Story County. Widespread tree damage and power outages are likely soon. Okay, I'm going to say that again, 80 mile per hour straight line winds. That's effectively a Category 1 hurricane, a weak tornado. That's the type of winds, but it's more widespread, Brandon. So this is going to be a rough situation, unfortunately, and we want folks to take this seriously. I know some folks don't always take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously as opposed to tornado warnings, but this warrants your attention, warrants you to stay inside, off the roads right now. I-35 is not going to be a place you want to be on here shortly, and I-80 is obviously a rough spot right now in Dallas County and approaching West Des Moines here. I have Max 2 up, and I'm going to pull up the velocity imagery, which kind of gives us a look at where those winds are located. So you see that little dome right there near Polk City and Grimes. That is the radar. Greens mean that there are winds moving toward the radar. Red means the winds are moving away from the radar. This white here is off of our color table. That's how strong the wind is here. And we're getting a good look at how strong this wind is because it's close to the radar, so it's not that far above the ground. I'm going to click on a spot here in this white to see what the radar is estimating the wind speed is, and it's saying still a ridiculous speed there of 122 miles per hour. Again, I do not think it's quite that strong, but nonetheless at the ground, up to 80 miles per hour, I think, is legitimately possible. Right now, folks in Perry over to Madrid are experiencing the worst of this storm. They're getting hit really hard right now in northern Dallas County, southern Boone County. Some extreme winds occurring at this very moment in that section of bright white. Again, it shows white because it's off of our scale. That there's no green color left there. That's how significant this wind is. And it is pushing to the east, southeast. So it looks like the north side of the metro will experience the strongest of the winds. Granger is going to get it here very soon. Madrid, Luther, both experiencing that right now. Polk City is going to get some very strong winds here soon. Huxley, eventually Ankeny. Those are the type of areas that are going to experience the worst of this storm as it moves into the metro here pretty soon, Brandon. So, you don't see the radar estimating that type of wind very often, especially with it being so close to the radar. you know, it almost makes you second guess if it's acting up or what. But boy, this is looking like a pretty serious situation for the north side of the metro here pretty soon.
I agree with you for sure. And sometimes when you do see wind gusts that pop up that, you know, at least the radar indicates that they could be that strong, we second guess it sometimes. We like to question what the radar shows because it does often overestimate things. And so that's something that we keep a close watch on. But I would not be shocked if we do see wind gusts between about 70 and even 80 miles per hour in some cases as well. So this is knocking on the door in the west side of the metro now. As we've mentioned a couple of times, we're only 8 minutes away from 11 a.m. So this is a pretty quick moving system. That's, I guess, the only upside of this is that we're getting some beneficial rainfall in some areas and that it is moving very quickly. So it's not going to storm for a very long time in your area. I do want to mention that if you are in a situation where you are safely able to take photos and videos, you can send them to us. We have a great way you can send any information about damages, photos, videos by texting us at 515-457-1026. Again, send us a text message there. You can also text the word storms. And if you text the word storms, you will get a direct link to our radar that we have set up there for you. Now, I want to show you a couple different views. This is looking out in West Des Moines near the water tower. This from Chris Collins, and just there's the leading edge. Very dark, very ominous. That's the leading edge of the wind coming in. This is another photo from one of our directors here at Local 5, Carly Ott, and you can just see, again, the darker the clouds, that looks like a shelf cloud trying to develop. That is that leading edge of the storms as they pull in. I've already heard rain at our studio in West Des Moines, Taylor, so we know that it is arriving here now.
Yeah, it's here. Why don't we pull up SkyTracker 5 for
look out to the west
Des Moines, because I can hear it. Yeah,
there it is.
Torrential downpours. Have reports of trees being snapped in Grimes now, so the wind has arrived there. It's obviously arrived here in West Des Moines as well. There's a traffic cam. It looks like that's I-235 at 22nd Street. The camera's shaking, so that's a good indication that the wind is howling out there as well. Good to see those headlights on. If you do have to be out in this rain, turn your headlights on, please. There is not going to be much of a flood threat for anyone that is traveling necessarily. Because this is moving so quickly, but blinding rain likely. That wind is going to be very difficult to travel in as well. And just getting a look here at Mid-American's power outages. It looks like we're up to 14,000 without power when you combine Des Moines and Fort Dodge there, a little bit in Council Bluffs as well. So exceeding 5,000 without power in Des Moines, nearly 6,000 in Fort Dodge currently without power, Brandon.
Yeah, and it looks like that is starting to become an issue here in the metro area. This is video.
Yeah, it's a live look.
Okay, it's near University and 96th in Waukee. As you see, just the blinding rainfall there and the very strong wind gusts. I do believe that in some cases, some parts of Waukee are now without power. It looks like in this particular view, this particular shot, there is power just because of the street lights, and it looks like some sort of apartment building there with lights on, which is good. Hopefully folks don't lose too much power, but that is something that is a bigger concern here. So we continue to watch as the torrential blinding rainfall moves in, and we really can't stress enough that if you're in the metro area and you need to go out, give it 20 or 30 minutes. Please hold tight where you are. We don't want you trying to drive in this stuff, and there is not really any escaping it coming through the metro right now. So it is going to be moving into downtown, the whole city of Des Moines here very soon. So I really would like folks to be better prepared by staying indoors during the duration of this storm. You see how quickly it's moving. We will be done with it within about a half hour because it, at the last check, was moving at 55 miles per hour, and that could have changed by now. But not only do we want folks in the Des Moines Metro to be watching this very carefully, but also in Story County, in Ames, Iowa State University. If you're in that area near Ames and even in the Boone area, we want you to be prepared now too, because you've got intense strong wind gusts moving in your direction, very torrential rain as well, basically crossing right along Highway 30. So if you're in the Ames area, if you're in Story City, and then back down towards Colo as well, Nevada, you need to be watching for this, and even Marshalltown, as this will continue pushing east pretty soon.
All right, Brandon, let's go ahead and reset here,
sure.
And we can go ahead and pop up Max 2. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect right now. A few of those are going to expire here pretty soon, so I want to update you on where we're at right now. Down in south central Iowa, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:30 this morning. That includes Clark, Lucas, Marion, and Warren counties. and it looks like Madison got left off there, but Madison County included in that as well. Severe thunderstorm warning, including the Des Moines Metro as well as Ames. That's also in effect until 11:30 this morning. Jasper, Marion, Polk, Warren, just a few of the counties in that, also Marshall County included in that warning. And then up in north central Iowa, Webster and Hamilton counties under a warning until 11:15 this morning. All of these warnings are for straight line winds that could be anywhere from 60 miles per hour, but in the Des Moines Metro's case and from Des Moines to Ames, up to 80 mile per hour straight line winds are possible. There could be some instances of quarter-size hail as well. We are all under a severe thunderstorm watch, at least in central Iowa, until 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to zoom back in here and take a look at what the wind is looking like and where exactly the strongest of the wind is located. And if you're just joining us, it's wherever you see those really bright colors. The green is moving toward the radar, which is located right in the center of the screen there. You see that little gray dome. That is where the radar is located on the northwest side of the metro. So green is moving toward that radar. Red is moving away from the radar. And on both sides of the radar, you have bright reds and bright greens. That tells me that there are strong winds passing right over the radar right now, moving into Ankeny. Some strong wind gusts moving into the Des Moines Metro as we speak. Definitely some strong winds on the backside of this near Woodward, Madrid, Granger, approaching Polk City. There are likely going to be some power outages. In fact, here in the studio, we've had the power flicker a couple of times in West Des Moines. So if you have not experienced these gusts yet, we are going to be there soon. National Weather Service is saying in Johnston, the wind has reached 70 mile per hour gusts at times. Here's the power outage map. Can you say that again, Sarah? How many out? Okay, nearly 10,000 out, and our power continues to flicker here in West Des Moines. Nearly 10,000 out without power in the metro. Fort Dodge experiencing several thousand without power as well. So not surprised to see this. That number is going to continue to grow in Des Moines. You folks in eastern Iowa, get ready as well. Jasper County, we're going to experience this storm here in the next 30 minutes. But right now, Des Moines up to Ames experiencing the worst of this storm, and even down toward Warren County, you're beginning to experience some of the gusty winds as well. But definitely, go ahead.
Of other updates. I've been monitoring our Facebook Live feed for some other comments just from people letting us know what's going on in their area. Andrea says her trampoline is gone in Waukee, which just gives you an idea of how strong the winds are moving. Pretty much everybody commenting that they're losing power all through the metro, all through west central Iowa. And it looks like we are getting pretty strong winds. Just kind of scrolling through, pretty much everybody has seen that as well. And it looks like, Taylor, this is what you're showing. They've made an upgrade to the severe weather outlook for the day. That's what's popped up here. Yep. So Taylor's checking some things. I can explain what's going on here. Essentially, they've made an upgrade to the severe weather outlook the Storm Prediction Center has. And you see that red color there that is highlighted from basically central Iowa over into eastern Iowa, kind of going just north of I-80. That is now a moderate risk for severe weather going into the afternoon. I don't have the exact facts right here, but I want to say that might be our first moderate risk in the state this season. And so that is an upgrade, meaning that these storms are clearly very intense, and they're likely going to stay very intense as they push into eastern Iowa as well. So it is 11 a.m. I would like to reset and let you know what's going on right now. If you would normally be watching us on Local 5 News midday, we are tracking severe weather moving right through the metro area and central Iowa right now. Pretty much everybody in the Local 5 News region, except for maybe far southern Iowa, getting the brunt of these storms. The leading edge of these strong to severe storms, we've had wind gusts reported in excess of 70 miles per hour, is moving through Polk County now. Ankeny, it's on your doorstep. It'll be moving into Bondurant here soon. Altoona and Pleasant Hill moving through downtown Des Moines. Windsor Heights getting pelted with the heavy rain as well, and also up onto the northern line of this as well, moving through Boone County. At least you're getting rain, but we don't need the severe weather aspect of this as well, and it'll be any moment in the Ames area as well. Taylor's drawing a track on this to give you an idea of where this will be headed within the next, we'll say half hour or so, and it's racing east. So here's some arrival times. Within 6 minutes in the Ames area, within about 20 minutes in Marshalltown, and within about 15 minutes or so in parts of Jasper County, 15 to 20 minutes there in the Newton area. So I want folks to know that we have seen numerous power outages today. We have had reports of trees down, wind damage. We might see crop damage as well from this. And Taylor and I will be here tracking this line of storms throughout the entire duration, but it's right here in the metro area now.
That's right. And Elias is really relaying some information to me. Trees down in Urbandale, damage to roofs and siding right around 86th and Meredith. So Urbandale experiencing the strong winds at the moment, and this is going to be a situation that the entire metro is going to feel. This is a very, very dangerous system. Let's see, numerous tree branches down in Fort Dodge, along with power outages. We mentioned that earlier. And we have, I believe, a live look here in Waukee. The blinding rain continues. Not a good time to be on the roads right now. Not necessarily for any flood risk. This system's moving so quickly. We've been so dry recently. There is not much of a flash flood risk. There could be some ponding on roads, but certainly the strong wind gusts plus the blinding rain is going to make it extremely challenging, especially for folks that are semi-truck drivers. Definitely need to be pulled over for now as this line passes by. And that looks like it is Iowa 141 at Southeast 19th and Grimes, I believe. And that camera is shaking, holding on for dear life. We have some, again, really, really strong wind gusts moving into the northwest part of Polk County right now. Grimes is one of those locations. Boy, it looks like even those poles are shaking a little bit, Brandon.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So this is, again, a dangerous situation. We want folks to stay inside as this passes by. Still getting some reports of measurements of 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts in Johnston. And this continues to push through to Des Moines Metro as we speak. If you can pull up Max 2 real quick, we'll go through some of the threats that we're dealing with today. Obviously, straight line wind is the primary concern as that continues to push into east central Iowa. Could be some quarter-size hail with some of these storms, but hail will not be a big concern. Tornadoes are possible, but not necessarily likely. There could be brief spin-up tornadoes on the leading edge of this system. Have not had any confirmations of that just yet, but it is possible. And as I mentioned, flooding is not a huge concern today, Brandon.
Yeah, I do want to mention for folks who are watching us, you may be losing power. And if you've already lost power or you know folks without power, you can watch us in so many different ways. I encourage you to download our We Are Iowa app. You can check out a live stream there of our severe weather coverage. I also encourage you to check us out on weareiowa.com. The live stream is posted there and on our Facebook page. And I was just looking at the Facebook. I think that we may have lost the Facebook Live for just a moment because we've been taking little power bumps here at the station as well. Our digital team, our web team, our production team, our news team are doing such an excellent job of getting all of that up and running and updated for us. So there's a ton of ways for you to watch our coverage, and we appreciate you watching Local 5 because we want to keep you safe and informed as these storms roll in. We've got pretty intense winds and torrential blinding rain pulling through, Taylor, and I can't stress enough, you know, we talk a lot about how winds can be just as problematic, if not more problematic, than a tornado. A couple of people have been commenting, asking where the tornado warning is. I want to confirm for you now, there is not a tornado warning. There has not been a tornado warning today. We could still see a brief spin-up tornado, but that's a little bit lower in threat. However, we have very intense winds, gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour, which is why we have those sirens sounding.
How about this, Brandon? I'm just kind of scrolling through Twitter here to get some reports. House is shaking, intense winds have not let up. Neighbor's sliding glass door just blew out.
Oh,
yeah, that's not good.
Not good at all.
Also hearing that swing sets that are anchored into the ground tossed over as well. So this is serious, serious stuff as it continues to push through Des Moines. Looks like power outages are beginning on the east side of the metro, including near Pleasant Hill. Let's get back to the radar here, and I'll pull up Max 2 once again. Just a good old-fashioned bow echo rolling right through central Iowa. This started out in northwest Iowa and even South Dakota early this morning. We weren't entirely sure if it was going to hold together, but it did manage to maintain its strength, and now it's moving into a healthy environment. And what's happening here is actually this started out behind a cold front. The actual cold front is located about right there at this point. And as this continues to interact with this cold front and even push ahead of it, it's going to move into even healthier air, warm, humid air ahead of that cold front in eastern Iowa. So there's a likelihood that this is going to maintain its strength as it continues to push to the east, southeast into eastern Iowa. So if you live in Oskaloosa, if you live in Newton, if you live in Pella, Ottumwa eventually, I think there's a very good chance that you will experience some of these strong winds. There could be some power outages in your area as we head into the early afternoon. This is likely going to be out of central Iowa probably by 1 o'clock or so. It's moving that quickly to the east at 55 miles per hour. So a developing dangerous situation. It's almost taking on a mind of its own here, and kind of a meso low is what it's called. It's spinning around itself, developing a bit of a circulation. No immediate threat for tornadoes, but again, a quick spin up tornado is not completely out of the question. But the primary concern continues to be widespread straight line winds that are going to be damaging. Trees down, power lines down, power outages for a lot of folks. Ames and Des Moines are getting the worst of it right now, and that will continue to push east of I-35 as we head toward the noon hour.
I'm also seeing that there are numerous streets on the south side of Des Moines that are totally blocked now because of trees that have fallen down. I don't know exactly what streets at this point, but that's a good indication that you really need to stay in while this goes through. And then, of course, our great emergency crews, first responders will all check out to see where that has happened. But remember, if you come across anything like that, you need to turn around. And I think most everybody knows this, but I like to stress it each and every time. If you are outside checking on damage once the storms roll through, please, please, please do not touch a live power wire. I've seen that happen before. Keep in mind, if the power line is down, do not touch it. Let Mid-American or our great power crews handle that situation as it rolls through. And quite honestly, I encourage you to wait until this entire storm rolls through, because we've got very intense winds pulling through Polk County right now. And they're going to be moving, basically, like you said, this thing is starting to kind of circle, rotate around itself. And where Taylor's drawing this curved line, that is the leading edge of the wind now. So far, eastern Polk County, eastern Warren County, and up into eastern Story County as well.
Yep. So that's the leading edge of the gust front is what it's called right there. Moved through Des Moines at this point. But behind that line, there are very strong winds as well. That's just the leading edge is where that line is, and you're going to go from calm to a blast of wind out of the west to the east here in Jasper County pretty soon. Same for you folks in Marion County and Marshall County. Story County, Polk County, Warren County getting the worst of this storm right now. We've heard of power outages, trees down. All of it is going to happen, going to continue to happen here, and we are still under a warning in Des Moines and Ames until 11:30 this morning, Brandon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this afternoon is going to be a cleanup afternoon for us.
Yeah. Terrible situation. Yeah. We've had numerous damage reports, and we're going to try to collect all of those and organize them in some sort of fashion, and we'll have full wrap-up and coverage for you coming up today on Local 5 News at 5, 6, 9, and 10 p.m. as we try to recap what happened with these storms. But even still, our primary focus right now is watching where they are heading next. And I like to give folks a heads up who are not necessarily getting the storms right now, but who will be very soon. See all of these arrows that Taylor has drawn from Newton down to Monroe, down to Knoxville, and anywhere in between. You will be the ones next in line for these storms to roll through. So basically Lake Red Rock area, Pella area, Monroe up through Newton, and eventually this will be pushing east still. So Marshalltown down through State Center and even over towards Grinnell. We will need to watch this soon. There may not be immediate severe thunderstorm warnings in your area, but they will be coming. Remember, we showed you a moment ago the Storm Prediction Center upgrading our severe weather risk for parts of central and eastern Iowa to a moderate risk for severe weather. I do believe, and I'll have to check later for confirmation, that that's the first and maybe only moderate we've had so far this summer, which typically we have pretty active severe weather. Here's the latest on the timing of this as it pulls through. We've got an arrival time at about 11:15 in Colfax, so not far off. Close to Marshalltown now, and it'll be moving into many of these communities within the next 15 to 20 minutes. This thing is moving very rapidly, Taylor.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Brandon. Remains a dangerous situation. This thing has not let up one single bit at all, so that's the situation. There's a look at one of the reports from earlier today. Tree damage out in Carroll County. We had a gust measured of 74 miles per hour in Carroll County near Glidden earlier this morning around 10 o'clock or so, and I would imagine we've had gusts similar to that all the way as it moves into central Iowa right now. So dangerous situation ongoing at this time. We can go to Max 2 here real quick, and I'll show you what the current situation is. We have severe thunderstorm warning Up and down I-35 in central Iowa right now from Clark County, Lucas County, all the way up northward to Hardin and Hamilton County. So too many counties to list off, but you get the idea. If you live in central Iowa, you're probably experiencing some heavy rain, some gusty winds, maybe even some hail in the mix there as well as it continues to push to the east. And this system is moving rapidly to the east at about 55 miles per hour. Getting a report here, a 65 knot gust recorded, I believe, at the airport in Des Moines. And I want to say that is just over 70 miles per hour, Brandon. So 70 mile per hour or so gust recorded at the airport. Looks like that was 8 minutes ago at the Des Moines airport. So that is the confirmation that we do indeed have some very strong wind gusts here in the Des Moines metro. Power out, trees down all over Boone right now. Power outages all over Fort Dodge.
I've got some numbers on those power outages, Taylor. Over 6,600 in the Fort Dodge area, now over 8,000 people, almost close to 9,000 in the Des Moines metro. In total around our region, we're looking at over 18,000 power outages. And you mentioned the airport, so that got me thinking. For anybody who's got flight plans, well, you don't have flight plans right now. I was just checking the Des Moines airport. Pretty much every flight that was scheduled to go out for the next couple of hours has been delayed. And it also appears that there are numerous flights, and I don't know a lot about how things work with aviation, but numerous flights that are in the air preparing for a landing. I imagine they are doing some circling or potentially scouting out other areas to land, because clearly coming down right now is not a good scenario. So if you've got plans at the airport or travel plans, you need to be checking with your airline, because right now you're not going anywhere.
That's right. If we can pull up Max 2 again, I'll show you what our velocity tracker is showing. And again, if you're just joining us, green means the wind is moving toward the radar. The radar is that little circle you see in the middle of the screen. Red is away from the radar. And we can get a really good idea of what the wind is, being produced in a storm when we have the storm very close to the radar, because that means it's scanning very close to the ground. The farther you get away from the radar, the higher up in the sky it is scanning, and it gets more of an idea of what the wind would be thousands of feet above the ground. So nonetheless, I'm going to click right near the radar here. It's suggesting 47 mile per hour gust right now near Johnston, so hopefully things are quieting down there a little bit. Closer to Polk City, 62 miles per hour, so still might be severe threshold winds around the radar there from Polk City through Granger, Grimes, and Johnston. But I think the worst of this storm is now crossing into really the city of Des Moines, where 60 to 70 mile per hour winds have been actually measured at this point. Many traffic signals are not working in the metro right now. Just another reason that we request folks stay off the roads for at least the time being, boy, it's going to be a rough afternoon. Definitely a lot of cleanup expected, a lot of tree limbs, power lines down. It might take a little bit for folks to get back to power.
And the traffic lights, Taylor, keep in mind, I've seen this time and time again too. If you do come across, if you have to travel and you come across a traffic light that is out, they could be out for a while. Treat that as a four-way stop. It seems sometimes when I'm driving that people don't know that one, but please treat that like a four-way stop and use caution if you come to a traffic light that is out. I believe we have a picture that is from Waukee from a viewer as the storm pulls through. Obviously, we've had blinding rain in many of these areas. We've had reports of wind damage in so many communities today, and the power outages. I do want to remind you, so that even if you are watching us and you're concerned about losing power, you've already lost power, or you know people without power, you can check us out in so many different ways. You can live stream it on our We Are Iowa app. You can live stream it on our website, weareiowa.com. There's a big area right on the homepage of the website that says live severe weather coverage, and we are also back on Facebook Live. I know that dropped out temporarily because of a power bump and a power outage concern. We do have another Facebook live stream back up, so I want people to know that. And also, we love getting your photos and videos on our Facebook page. We told you to text us. Keep in mind, if we don't get back to you right away, it doesn't mean that we didn't receive them. We just are shuffling through a lot of different things. You can always text us. That number there, 515-457-1026, and let us know not just about the rain, not just about the wind, but if you've had damage in your area, we want to know about it as well. And we've had numerous damage reports that Taylor is pulling up here, and basically each one of these icons, Taylor, obviously represents those damage reports.
Yep, so in Ames, as you're seeing there on the screen, 70-mile-per-hour gust estimated in Ames at 11:11, so about 5 minutes ago there. Down toward the metro, we've had measurements of 70-mile-per-hour gusts at the airports, and then where you see those kind of lighter blue markers, that's where there has been tree damage. Look at all the tree damage that has occurred, at least just reported to the National Weather Service so far this morning over the last couple of hours, from Fort Dodge down through Boone County, Dallas County, even down farther south in Clark County, experiencing a little bit of tree damage this morning. And this all started in South Dakota early this morning and just raced into eastern Nebraska. Omaha had nearly 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts earlier this morning, and now it has turned into a large bow echo that is pushing through central Iowa at this moment, and we are still going to see some extreme winds move through east central Iowa as we head toward the early afternoon.
Here's a report for our news team. This is just in from the National Weather Service. Not a good situation here. In Windsor Heights, part of the Des Moines Buccaneers roof has been blown off. I don't know to the extent of what that is, but again, for our news team who's listening to this, part of the Des Moines Buccaneers roof has been blown off. That, of course, being there right on Hickman, I believe, if I'm correct, or is that Douglas?
I don't recall exactly, Brandon.
It's right there in Windsor Heights, and forgive me for not knowing that. It is on Hickman. I knew that. And so that is where we've got the damage at this point. Also damage reported in the Windsor Heights area near 75th and Diamond. Tree damage there. So obviously, you know, we want folks to stay indoors while this rolls through. I hope you've been doing that. And now we are watching this sort of slide past the metro. We're not done with it, but the most intense part of the wind is sliding just past that now and basically moving into the counties adjacent to I-35. So we're talking about Marshall County, we're talking about Jasper County, Marion County, and even down into Lucas County. And Taylor, something that we should point out here, on the southern edge of this line, it looks like maybe it's not as intense, and you might be wondering why you are in a severe thunderstorm warning. The wind gusts are still potentially as strong on that part of the line just because the radar reflectivity doesn't show as much with torrential rain or anything like that. There's still some very intense winds, and now the bowing part of this is essentially moving into Jasper County. So here's the southern side. It looks a little more ragged on radar, to be honest with you, as it goes down through Clark County and over into Union County, but we still have the potential for wind gusts up to 65, 70 miles per hour in these areas. It'll be coming through Marion soon. So Red Rock, Pella, Knoxville, down through Melcher, Dallas, down into Sheraton and Lucas as well. And we'll be watching that as it kind of pulls east-southeast. Obviously, the strongest winds, the most intense of the rain a little bit farther north, but all of these areas could see the wind concern.
Let's go ahead and pull up Max 2 here, and we can roll through the warnings that are currently in effect. Let's start up in north central Iowa. Hardin and Hamilton County and a little bit of Grundy County under a severe thunderstorm warning until noon. And that's going to be certainly the south side of that warning more than anything that will experience the potential for some gusty winds. Continuing with a big warning across Polk County, Story County, a little bit of Boone County, Marshall, Jasper County, Marion County, and you can see that brand new warning just posted ahead of that. That warning I've highlighted is in effect for another 10 minutes until 11:30 this morning. Yet another warning down in south central Iowa, Clark, Lucas, Marion, Warren counties, all under a severe thunderstorm warning. Madison County also included in that until 11:30 this morning. It's really going to be for the leading edge of that rain that Brandon mentioned that you'll have the best chance for some of those gustier winds. And then lastly, I'll pull up the new warning real quick, which is ahead of the bulk of this system, the heart of the storm. This includes several counties from Marshall through Jasper, Poweshiek, Tama, a little bit of Marion included in that as well. That warning also in effect until noon today. And I'm going to guess they also have winds capable of 70 to 80 miles per hour on that warning, but let me double check. Yep. Winds for this warning that I've highlighted right there could be up to 80 miles per hour. I-80 between Des Moines, Jasper County, Poweshiek County, going to be really, really tough go. Maybe you know someone that's traveling that road right now that's in Poweshiek or Jasper County. Tell them to pull over, maybe not on the road, but maybe find a gas station or something like that to take a break as this passes by, especially folks driving north-south. Those are going to be some crazy side winds that are going to make it some crosswinds that will make it extremely difficult to travel for folks east of I-35 at this point, Brandon.
Yeah, agree. You know, at this point, you know, unless you have some dire emergency, you don't need to be on the road as this pulls through. I would like folks to stay at the office, at home, whatever it is, until this passes and we can assess what sort of damage and cleanup we're going to have.
We have an actual measured wind gusts at the airport of 75 miles per hour. In Ankeny, 69 miles per hour. And Train Spotter reports an estimated 80 mile per hour wind gusts just north of the airport. Several tree limbs down there, a couple tree trunks snapped, roads are blocked. So we mentioned earlier, several roads are blocked on the south side of the metro. There's your example right there. It looks like around the airport they got some fairly nasty winds as well. Altoona branches down there, several reports of tree damage, damage to siding in Urbandale due to high winds. And we have video popping up here from Ames that we're going to show you. As we mentioned earlier, estimated 70 mile per hour winds in Ames and across Story County. That looks like it there. That's definitely some strong wind gusts passing through there. And the worst of the storm is just about to exit Ames and Des Moines and move eastward toward Newton, Marshalltown, Knoxville, Pella, and then eventually farther to the east as well.
I was just communicating with our producer. I believe we have a photo of downtown Des Moines as these storms roll in, and you can see that there, the leading edge right there near the near 801 Grand, just looking out from 801 Grand out at the storms as they roll in. So we have had, I'm just checking constantly social media, and we've had, oh goodness, a lot of people commenting and telling us that their power is out, that they've had damage in their area. And I appreciate all your reports. I hope everyone is safe. And looks like it'll be clearly a very busy afternoon of cleanup once this pulls through. I know we have a crew heading towards the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena, where we mentioned that part of the roof was damaged. I don't have any details yet on the extent of that, but it is something that we'll be watching out now. So
looks like that's one of our crew that's on the road right now. Looks like the rain has calmed down. I believe he was in Waukee at one point, our cameraman Don. So
driving out towards the Windsor Heights area.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is, almost 11:25, and these storms have not let up in intensity at all. They've just moved very quickly east.
And they're not going to. They're moving into a healthy environment here where we have a lot of instability, a lot of moisture to work with. There's nothing that's going to develop ahead of it that will kind of cut it off. So rough estimate here, moving to the east around 55 miles per hour. That puts you folks in Newton in line to get the, actually you're probably getting the gusty winds right now. And from this point through noon, it's going to be a rough go in Newton and across Jasper County. Marshalltown, rough estimate, about 15 minutes from now, you'll start to get those gusty winds and some heavy rain. Down the line, Oskaloosa, maybe just after noon. Same goes for Albia. And I do think you folks in southeast Iowa will get some strong gusts here as well. And they are going to issue a severe thunderstorm watch for all of eastern Iowa here fairly soon, and they're going to tag it, Brandon, as a particularly dangerous situation watch.
Oh, wow.
PDS severe thunderstorm watch for eastern Iowa, which is something they don't say very often.
No, I don't know that I've seen us have anything like that in a while.
Looks like power outages in Des Moines up to nearly 17,000, and we have video that we're going to show from Ankeny. That's the leading edge there. That looks like they're probably under the shelf cloud as it's moving on in, and then I'm guessing shortly after this the heavy rain arrives, strong winds, and this is something that many of us have experienced this morning. Closer look at Des Moines shows that the heaviest of the rain is exiting the metro right now. I'm imagining the strongest of the winds are as well. And Brandon, look at the radar here. You can see the literal bow. That's when we talk about bow.
I actually would like to point that out just because it's so pronounced there. So I'm going to come on camera if that's okay with our production team. Essentially what we're looking at there, we talk about bowing segments. If we could go back to that, or Taylor could just kind of zoom over to there. It's basically an area of the storm that sticks out from the rest of the line. And that's what we've seen right here going into Jasper County, the central part of Jasper County. It's going into the Newton area. And this is where the strongest of those wind gusts likely are. And that is also an area where we have to, we haven't seen anything like this today, but also looking here, just a little bit of a notch. We always have to watch up for the concern of a spin-up tornado. Not a great threat, but it is entering a more favorable environment as it pushes east. That's even more favorable than the areas that it's already pushed through.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. And just to double check on whether there is any rotation being picked up on radar. I'll pull up our shear tracker and get a little something here in Jasper County, but if we can pull up Max 2 real quick, I'll show you that. A little bit of rotation being picked up near Baxter in north central and northwest Jasper County. But going back to the radar, it doesn't look like anything of significance there at the moment, although there is maybe a little notch, a little hook there that has popped up several times. So I'm not ruling out, again, a quick spin-up tornado on the leading edge of this system, but we do not have a tornado warning in effect at this time. It is very possible that where you live, you are hearing the sirens right now in eastern Iowa. There are no tornado warnings in effect at this moment. You heard the sirens in Des Moines if you live in the metro about 30 minutes ago. Many counties, many emergency managers will sound the sirens if there's a possibility of 70-mile-per-hour or stronger straight-line winds, because that is oftentimes just as serious as a tornado. So that is the reasoning that they sound those sirens, and I would imagine there are some counties out here in the warning and expecting to get these strong winds that are hearing sirens at this point. And you know what? I think it's warranted with this system in particular. We've had measured wind gusts in Des Moines of 75 miles per hour, and that strong part of the storm is moving into Jasper County right now. Newton, you are probably getting hammered with heavy rainfall and some strong straight line winds at this moment. Marshalltown, I would say you have another 5 to 10 minutes tops before that strong wind and heavy rain arrives. Down farther south, Knoxville and Pella. You're not necessarily in the strongest part of this storm, but you will get some gusty winds and some heavy rain as well. Farther to the south, same story. Actually, this leading gust front here is already pushing into Lucas County and down toward Corydon and even Lamoni, maybe getting a little bit of gusty winds. But the leading edge, the bow that Brandon mentioned, is moving through Jasper County as we speak.
I believe we have a live feed from our photographer, Don Schmidt, who is out there. And Sarah, can you tell me exactly where he is? Okay, yes, this is right outside the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena, which we mentioned to you had at least some sort of roof damage. And that looks, it's hard to tell from this angle, but you see there's clearly debris on the sides there, debris scattered all over the parking lot, and there were numerous trees down, limbs at least, in that area. Hopefully we'll be able to get a look at the roof. I see a little bit of the top there, you know, when he turns the car, that almost looks like that, but it's tough to see. We'll check back with him in just a minute. And I don't know if we have the picture up yet, and if not, it's not a big deal, but one of our storm chasers and storm enthusiasts that we know, Aaron Weed, sent us a picture that an above ground pool in Norwalk that one of his family members just had put in has been completely leveled, which is an unfortunate situation because those things are not cheap. Wow, that's a staggering image there, Taylor, with all that damage right there at the Bucks Arena, as it says, we are all in this together. A lot going on here in central Iowa right now.
So how about this, Brandon? Some of the verbiage from the Storm Prediction Center's new watch. Widespread damaging winds and scattered significant gusts up to 100 miles per hour possible in eastern Iowa early this afternoon. So if you have any family in eastern Iowa that maybe doesn't live in our viewing area necessarily, give them a call. Serious situation, I would say, right along I-80 in particular. And statewide power outages above 27,000 at this point, and Des Moines power outages more than 18,000. And I'm guessing that number is going to go up.
Looks like the severe thunderstorm watch has now been issued for all of eastern Iowa. And, you know, to give you an extent of how severe this is likely going to be as it pushes east and how intense, that severe thunderstorm watch goes all the way to Chicago and to Milwaukee. So this is a major system that is rolling right across our state. Thankfully, we will be done with it, within probably the next hour or so, and then we will be left just trying to figure out how to pick up, how to clean up, how to carry on from all of the damage as well. So we've had just a very intense type setup here coming across our region throughout the day today. I know Taylor is updating that severe thunderstorm watch. Do we still have the live feed from Dawn by chance? There it is. Right on a tree that is over. This is our chief photographer, Don Schmidt. He is at the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena in the parking lot there, where we have had reports of some pretty significant damage to the roof there. We don't know exactly to what extent the damage is, and it looks like we have another picture that we're going to pull up as well. This is the pool that I was just mentioning a moment ago in the Norwalk area. That's an above ground pool that was just, well, not available for swimming anymore, unfortunately. Just a tough day as we see these winds roll through. And it's getting pretty intense as it moves into parts of Marshall County now, and also Jasper and Marion counties. So if we could actually go back to Max 2, I believe Taylor has the radar pulled up there. He at least has the severe thunderstorm watch. So he pulled this up just a moment ago. This is now where that watch extends to. So it was already for central Iowa. Now it's for all of eastern Iowa, and clearly parts of Wisconsin and Illinois as well. So if you've got family, friends that are on, the next edge of this, the ones who are, soon to be getting the storms, I'd like for you to let them know what we have experienced and let them know that they could be dealing with some pretty significant weather as we go through the afternoon as well. So keep your photos, your videos coming to us. We want you to do so safely, of course. And if you have lost power, or folks that have lost power, we would like to just kind of reset and let you know how you can watch us right now. So it is just a few moments after 11:30. Here we go. And we've got these strong to severe storms that have been incredibly intense moving through our region. We've been on the air now for a little over an hour, and these storms continue to intensify, continue to move through, and you see numerous severe thunderstorm warnings now stretching from essentially Highway 20 all the way down into northern Missouri on the leading edge of this. This is the segment that is bowing out right now, and a lot of folks are without power, are now going to be left assessing damage as we go through the afternoon. You can watch us on our We Are Iowa website, weareiowa.com. On our We Are Iowa app, we have live streams going there, and also on Facebook Live, where we've been keeping an eye on that as well. Here's some arrival times for you within just moments there in the Pella and Marshalltown area, and then eventually this will push farther east there as it moves towards Belle Plaine and Ottumwa. These are really the areas that we all have to watch out for. Pretty much if you live east of I-35, you need to be watching for these severe thunderstorms to pull through. Everybody has the potential to see wind gusts in excess of 70 miles per hour, potentially higher in some cases as well, Taylor, and certainly we've seen that's caused plenty of damage so far as it's pulled through. Yep.
Folks that are dealing with the worst of this right now, Newton, Baxter, actually, I believe there was a report of 70 to 80 mile per hour estimated wind gusts there. That was Colfax. So in western Jasper County. So you might be experiencing 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts in Newton as we speak, and across Jasper County. Wouldn't be shocked if there were similar type of winds in northern Marion County, Pleasantville, Pella, Knoxville. Pella, you're not getting it yet, but that is knocking on your door. The leading edge of that red there is the gust front, the beginning of the strong winds. So we're looking at our velocity tracker. The reds are moving away from the radar, and the brighter that red is, and even where you see the white, that's where the winds are at their strongest. And the radar is saying right around Jasper County and northern parts of Marion County is where the strongest of the wind is located at this time. And as we get a new scan here, you can see it is now approaching Pella, approaching Sully, and it's not going to be long before it arrives in Grinnell. It continues to move right along the I-80 corridor. The strongest part, the Boeing segment of this storm, is the most dangerous part of this storm that is moving right over Jasper County right now, racing to the east at about 55 miles per hour. There also could be some modest rotation in northern Jasper County. Not seeing anything that has warranted a tornado warning just yet, but there always could be a brief spin-up tornado on the leading edge of systems like this. In the meantime, let's head up to Marshalltown right now, where it's going to be just a matter of a few minutes here before you start to experience those gusty winds, that heavy rain. State Center and Melbourne, as well as Rhodes, all are experiencing that type of heavy rainfall right now. And as I pull back up the velocity tracker, you can see, again, it's going to be a matter of just a few minutes before that leading edge of the strong winds, that leading edge of red you see there, will make its way into Marshalltown. You could experience 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts in Marshalltown. Ames, about 20 to 30 minutes ago, did have reports of 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and that does remain possible for you folks in east central Iowa. Brandon, how about this for a train spotter? Is saying that his personal weather station had an 85 mile per hour wind gusts. Oh, yeah, they just keep getting higher in some cases based on what's reported. I know we have a live feed back from what's happening at the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena. That is the damage right there at the Bucs Arena in Windsor Heights. Clearly, there's been a lot of issues with the roof there. It has been damaged pretty significantly, and we won't know the full extent of
how that compares to what's on top of the roof essentially, but there's a lot of debris down there in the parking lot and on the sides as well. I want to urge you that you please, need to stay indoors while this is going on. We would like for you to wait until after the storm passes. We've had so many power outages. We know that there are streets blocked on the south side of Des Moines, and I'm sure in many other places as well. We know that traffic lights are out in many cases. Remember, if you come across a traffic light that is out, you need to treat it as a four-way stop and watch for debris in the roadway. And, this is still going to become an issue as this goes east. And I want to say, for folks, those winds, when you were showing them just a minute ago, Taylor, on the velocity, were so intense in parts of Jasper and Marshall County that if you're in those areas, if you're in Newton, if you're in Grinnell, if you're in Marshalltown, you need to stay indoors. We usually talk about getting to that safe place and that shelter when we have tornado warnings. I want you to do the same thing right now, because we have the wind gusts that are very intense as they roll through, moving into Marshalltown, and it'll be knocking on the line here of Jasper and Poweshiek County as well. I'm just looking over the soft. We've got trees in West Des Moines through roofs of homes as well. So a lot going on, and Taylor, we're just going to keep watching this as they push east, but it could still be at least another half hour.
Yeah, probably another 30, 45 minutes of us tracking this, and we're going to stay on with you folks in eastern Iowa. Just because you're not in the metro doesn't mean you don't matter. So we're going to stay with you here through at least the noon hour to let you know what's going on. So here's the situation. The area is in pink under a severe thunderstorm watch for central Iowa. That's in effect until noon, although essentially if you're behind this main line here, your severe threat is done for the rest of the day today. Really, the main concern is for folks experiencing these gusty winds now east of I-35. Des Moines, we are done with the crazy strong winds. Same goes for folks in Ames, but I am hearing thunder out there still. So wait for the thunder to pass, wait for the heavy rain to pass, and then we can go out and clean up the mess out there. And it sounds like there is quite the mess in Des Moines. Of immediate concern here we have several severe thunderstorm warnings, one for several counties in effect until noon. That includes Mahaska, Poweshiek, Jasper, Marion, Marshall, Tama, Story, and parts of Polk County. We also have a second warning farther to the south here. I'll clear that off. And that actually stretches all the way down to the Missouri border. This warning, again, Marion, Mahaska County, Appanoose, Monroe, Wapello, etc., Lucas County, in effect until 12:15. And Brandon talked about this a little bit ago, but interesting to see that there's hardly any rain being picked up on the radar here with this part of the system. But even though there's not much rain, there is still an outflow boundary that is creating some strong wind gusts, and we can actually pick up on that outflow, that strong wind, with the radar to some extent. Let me draw the line here where that outflow would be real quick. And we're looking at kind of a straight line wind threat, and it's the leading edge right around there. And then that wind is moving eastward. So where that blue line is where the leading edge of the wind is, and that might be affecting you folks in Wayne County right now. So this isn't just a central Iowa problem. It's pretty much all of our viewing area experiencing some extent of damaging winds. It's just at its worst in Jasper County, where you see those bright reds, those whites moving through Newton and Sully right now. A matter of minutes before the strong winds will make their way toward Grinnell. And once again, any travel between Des Moines and Poweshiek County right now on I-80 is not advised, to say the least, Brandon.
We've got a lot of pictures that are coming into us from our viewers, and I'll let my producer kind of relay to me where these are, but we've got quite a bit of photos here. This is in Grimes, and clearly there's some sort of damage there, I believe, with the fence. And we've got in Clive, a tree that is at least on a car, hopefully not on a house, but hard to see there. Another tree down in this area in Beaverdale. And we've just got all sorts of damage coming in, and we appreciate your photos and videos and things like that. It's just terrible to see. Limbs down here in Waukee. Obviously the rain pretty heavy there as well. We'll take a look at some of the other things that we have. I know we've been watching that live picture in near the Des Moines Buccaneers arena, but at this point, we are just Hoping that we would see some sort of relief here soon with this line of storms, but the thing is, it's probably not going to happen all that much as we see it almost bow out a little bit more. You know, Taylor, what was, pretty remarkable here is that we saw a new severe thunderstorm watch issued for eastern Iowa. Taylor mentioned that it has a tag on it, which we call just kind of an extra statement that goes along with it, and it's a PDS watch, which stands for a particularly dangerous situation. They don't often issue watches like that. And we also saw that the Storm Prediction Center upgraded a good portion of eastern Iowa into a moderate risk for severe weather, which is a level 4 out of the 5 levels that we have. This is, to my knowledge, the first moderate and hopefully the only one that we've had all summer. And now we're still getting plenty of thunder, plenty of lightning on the back edge of this, but the worst of the wind is actually going to be knocking on the door now in Grinnell. If you're in Grinnell, it's coming for you. And the Marshalltown area, it's moving through your region as well. It'll be moving into Tama County here momentarily within about 10 minutes or so.
Folks in the control room, let's talk power outages first here. Over 30,000 in Des Moines without power statewide. 39,000 without power. Fort Dodge over 6,000 without power. That number is going to continue to grow. Do we want to go to the Don's live shot again? That's some significant damage there at Buccaneers Arena. This is in Windsor Heights, so kind of in the north central part of the Des Moines Metro, and some significant damage to the roof there, scattered across the parking lot right there on Hickman. And we also have some video here that we're going to show you in a sec of a tree snapping off. I believe this was the Alliance. Yeah, how about that? Lots of branches like that down across the Des Moines Metro, across much of central Iowa this morning. So it's going to be a cleanup afternoon. Get the chainsaws ready, get your gloves ready. We're going to have to do some work to clean things up this afternoon. You know,
the other thing I'm really concerned about when we talk about the Bucs Arena is you see all that roof damage. It's raining really heavily. So that's all water that's going into the Bucs Arena as well. Here's another look at that. And debris just clearly coming off the roof right over the word Buccaneer. And I imagine there's a lot of water damage inside as well. So not a good situation. As we have seen the debris that was scattered around the parking lot there. There was everything from the roof damage to the trees down. And this is just one instance of damage that we've had throughout the day. There's been numerous reports of that through the morning. And yeah, there's a little bit of a wider view of that. It's tough to see there. I know that there's been damage all across, so we're not forgetting about folks in other areas as well. We know all the way up to Ames and all the way down to the south as well. There is so much. We appreciate all your footage, all your videos, your photos that you send to us. Remember, you can do that by texting us at 515-457-1026. If you want to do it on Facebook, that also works, or on our Twitter pages. You can email it to news@weareiowa.com. Just remember to do so safely, because we don't want anyone to be in any sort of dangerous situation. I want to go to some video that we have in the Ankeny area as well. And you see there the heavy rain just pounding. There's been tree damage there. And looks like if you go, it kind of went quickly to the other side, but it almost looked like there was a tree near, if not on, that car. I hope that it was just off to the side as well. You can see how quick the wind was blowing. And one thing we mentioned is it's Monday. A lot of folks have their trash pickup today. You might be missing your trash can when you come home. You'll have to go do some scouting out for that as well.
Another thing, Brandon. Fall sports for high school starts today.
Yeah. So not much practice going on, I bet.
Yeah. Well, those football players sometimes start early in the day, so hopefully they got a little work in before the rain came in. But yeah, definitely not practicing now.
So for people who are watching us, maybe just jumping on, it's about 11:45 now in the morning. We've been on the air for over an hour because we have severe thunderstorms that just continue to race across central Iowa, really up to the north and to the south as well. It's essentially all of the Local 5 News viewing region. And now the strongest, most intense part of the storms is going to be entering our far eastern counties from Tama County through Poweshiek County and down into Mahaska County as well, but still very intense as it comes through Jasper, Marshall, and down down into Marion County as well. We've had very torrential rain through the Marshalltown area, through Newton, and this is moving right along I-80. If you know folks who are supposed to be traveling I-80 right now, tell them that they need to pull over. They need to get into some sort of shelter, some interior building, because these winds are essentially pulling right along the interstate, and with wind gusts potentially over 70 miles per hour, that's not anything you want to drive in.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. If we could pull up Max 2, I can show you we have a lot of damage reports here everywhere in that red box that I highlighted. Those markers there are reports of either measured severe wind gusts, which is over 60 miles per hour, or some damage. And we have reports of a lot of damage across west central and now central Iowa that has occurred just this morning alone. In that box, 82 different reports of severe wind alone. Really not much hail associated with this, although there has been some small hail here and there. Definitely the primary concern has been the strong straight line winds that continue to wreak havoc across east central Iowa now. So here's the situation. The Boeing segment of this storm is moving into Poweshiek County as we speak. So Grinnell experiencing those gusty winds right now down to Searsboro. Montezuma, you will experience it pretty soon. Marshalltown is definitely in the mix here as far as strong straight line winds are concerned. Looked like there was a tiny notch there near Marshalltown. I just want to make sure. I'm not too concerned about it, Brandon, but Shear Tracker is picking up on a little bit of modest rotation. It's probably past Marshalltown at this point now, given the slight delay in our radar. Again, as we mentioned earlier, if you get these little notches on the leading edge of this bow echo, there can be brief tornadoes that do develop that will continue to be a threat as we move into the afternoon for folks in eastern Iowa. But the primary widespread concern remains damaging straight line winds, and the way this has gone, this is essentially the equivalent of at least a weak tornado for a lot of us in central Iowa this morning.
Taylor, I mentioned this earlier, but we've been keeping an eye on the Des Moines Airport website. Let's just say that if you're trying to fly somewhere right now, or there are folks trying to land at Des Moines, it's not happening right now. They've had, I know, some issues with the website, and now I have the website up. When I check, it looks like there's been at least an American Airlines flight that was coming from Chicago O'Hare that has now been diverted away from Des Moines. I don't know exactly where that's going, but it is either going back to Chicago or it is certainly not going to be landing here. So if you know folks who are trying to come in right now, you want to contact your airline, whether that be, whatever airline you're traveling with, but there's significant delays there now at the airport. And now that I'm seeing on the website that there are flights being diverted away from the Des Moines area. We also have some photos coming in from our viewers. This is in Waukee, I believe, at 7th and Cherry, where just a massive tree is down there. It looks like the whole thing was just snapped, and we've had so many photos coming in. This is in the Ankeny area where we've had torrential rain coming in as well. We appreciate you sending us your photos. Here's some of those storm clouds as they arrived in the Norwalk area. I showed you that pool that was essentially leveled just a moment ago, that above ground pool that I believe was a relatively new installation. There's the pool right there, and really, really tough image there to see. This is a tree down in the Ankeny area, and I just hope for sure that we are not seeing any major damage to houses or anything like that. I know we've had numerous reports of roof damage across the area. We've had the issue over there at the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena as well, and so many things that we have to watch out for with this. Several large trees down in the town of Cumming. Street signs that are blown down in Slater as well, up in Story County. So pretty much everybody has seen some sort of damage or some sort of fallout from these storms as they have rolled through. And it looks like, we are still, once the strongest part of the wind pushes through, still going to have plenty of rain, thunder, and lightning on the backside of this. And keep in mind, I want you to stay indoors while we have the lightning strikes ongoing as well.
So, Brandon, it looks like this threat continues to shift eastward over time. Our friends in Poweshiek County, Mahaska County, Marshall County, and Jasper and Marion experiencing the worst of this storm right now as it continues to press on to the east. Iowa City is going to get hit by this system within the hour. Eventually, the Quad Cities will be hit hard as well, and then that will press on into Illinois. Right now, if you live west of I-35, your severe threat is over for the day today, but there is still some rain, a couple pockets of heavier downpours around Adair County. Why don't we talk about some good news? How about the rain that has fallen this morning? Definitely good to see.
That's a plus.
Yeah, bit of a delay here, but looks like a lot of the Highway 30 corridor got some solid rain. I will click on a couple spots here just to get some estimates. Estimate of 2.2 inches there in northwest parts of Greene County, which really needed the rain. Carroll County about 2 inches as well. Great to see that. So there's some positive to this. I know it's a complete mess with this straight line wind, but we really needed the rainfall. In fact, I'll overlay where the drought is. The worst of it is there in west central Iowa, and that's where we got quite a bit of rain today. So there's some positive there. We got looks like a lot of 1 to 2 inch rain totals along the Highway 30 corridor from western to central Iowa. So we'll take the rain. I know we wish we could get it without the nasty severe weather, but that's how things are going so far this morning. And again, the severe threat has shifted east of I-35 at this point. We are done with severe weather in Des Moines, done with it in Ames, and done with it across the western half of the state at this time.
While we continue the good news, one thing that you can mention with the drop in rain is the drop in temperatures. I was looking at the airport. We were at 81 degrees at 10:50 and currently it is 64 degrees. So we've had almost a 20-degree drop in temperatures, and we're going to see lower humidity, cooler temperatures on the backside of this. So, you know, it's hard to say that there's a lot of good news right now, but at least there are little things that we can watch out for, Taylor. But rain still comes down pretty heavily, too.
Yeah, it still is. Just got some information relayed to me from Elias that a street is blocked in Perry due to a motorist that is stranded. So it's possible that there could be some flooding issues there, perhaps tree knocked down. Yeah, that looks like that was the case there. There's going to be a lot of roads that are closed due to trees being knocked down from Perry to Des Moines to Ames. Now eastern Iowa is going to get in on the fun of this extreme wind. So it's just going to be a mess to get around for the rest of the day today and probably the next couple of days. Power outage numbers, last check, over 30,000 in Des Moines and nearly 40,000 across the state. And not only Des Moines, but Fort Dodge got hit pretty hard with some pretty extensive damage there. Looks like their number is above 6,000 and Des Moines is over 30,000 at this point. Council Bluffs has a couple thousand still without power. They were hit hard by this system earlier this morning around 9:30 or so, 9 o'clock. Gusts nearly 70 miles per hour out there, and it has just raced across I-80 and now is east of Des Moines, approaching Grinnell and Oskaloosa. Get ready. Some strong winds will be knocking on your door here pretty soon. Looks like here, is that the latest number? Okay, so it looks like the latest power outage number down to 7,900 in Des Moines. It's an improvement from, it was 30,000 recently. Okay, that was for the whole metro. Okay, this is a breakdown here. So Des Moines itself at 7,900 and some numbers elsewhere across the metro that total up to about 30,000 without power at this time. Brandon, do you have any new info on reports or anything at this time?
Yeah, so I was just communicating with Jackie Schmellen, one of the hosts of Iowa Live. She's got a friend that's sitting in a plane at the airport in Des Moines. They're sitting on the tarmac, and because of the low visibility and the intense winds, they have not even pulled the plane back to the gate. So remember, I mentioned that there have been quite a bit of issues at the airport. They have now diverted some flights, and I was just looking at the flight American Airlines that was supposed to be coming in from Chicago O'Hare. Looks to me, based on satellite data from the plane, that it has completely shifted course and is going back to Chicago, which will be getting the storms later on today. I want to go to some video, some photos that we have of the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena, which we have been reporting has had quite a bit of damage, and here are some of the photos of that just outside the parking lot. Roof damage pretty significant there as debris has been thrown all across the parking lot, scattered pretty much everywhere through the grass as well. And I mentioned this earlier, you know, we've had pretty heavy rainfall since this damage as well, so I imagine that there is some sort of water damage on the inside as well. You just see all that debris from the roof has been thrown there right across the parking lot. It's going to take a while to clean up things later on today. We've had not just this damage, but all across central Iowa reported today. And Taylor, I mentioned, or I noticed rather, one thing with this as they've issued a new warning. It was at 11:53 for Jasper, Mahaska, Marion, Marshall, Poweshiek, and Tama. And they have now put a tag on there that says wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour, which I see your comment back as well. But clearly, you know, we believe that wind gusts could be well in excess of 70 in some cases.
So the weather station at the Marshalltown Airport at 11:50 this morning recorded a gust of 99 miles per hour. I'm checking to make sure that's legit. 99 miles per hour. I don't recall ever seeing a straight line wind gust that strong, at least since I've been doing this job.
No, I don't know that I have either.
That's pretty ridiculous. So that's why the National Weather Service has a 90 mile per hour wind possible for Jasper County, Mahaska County, Marion County, Marshall, Poweshiek, and Tama counties. That warning's in effect until 12:30. The additional warning I'm showing you here is pushing into eastern Iowa. That's in effect until 12:45. But of immediate concern is the ongoing straight line wind that is occurring in Marshalltown, Jasper County, Poweshiek County, approaching Mahaska County right now. Marion County, especially the north side of Marion and Mahaska counties, experiencing some extreme winds at this moment. Why don't I pull up the velocity once again to give you an idea of where that is located. So the red, once again, is moving away from the radar. So it's moving west to east away from the radar as it has been all morning long. And this is scanning the wind several thousand feet above the ground, but it's estimating the wind near Grinnell to be around 100 miles per hour. When we first saw that around Des Moines, we were skeptical, and it didn't end up being quite that strong. But, you know, 80 to 90 mile per hour winds at the surface, Brandon, are legitimately possible. And if that report of, or that measurement of 99 miles per hour in Marshalltown is legit, then there is reason to be very, very concerned if you live in Poweshiek County, Tama County, down toward Mahaska County over the next 20 to 30 minutes.
I agree for sure with these wind gusts. Let's see. We have an emergency manager in Tama County reporting that a tree has hit an office there in the Toledo area. So this is still very much an intense situation as it pushes to the east. I know we have a couple of other videos that we wanted to get to just so that you can kind of see the extent of what's going on right now. And I believe this is in West Des Moines. You can see that clearly there's a lot of trees down, a lot of debris has been thrown, that patio chair, and just a tough situation. We will stay on the air as long as these warnings continue in our region. We've been on the air giving you up-to-date information since about, well, it was a few minutes before 10:30. And this is just more footage of the damage there in the West Des Moines area. Our chief photographer, Don Schmidt, has been all around town capturing some of the terrible images of the trees down, the debris in the roadways. And keep in mind, you know, if you don't absolutely need to be on the road, you don't, you know, should stay in at all costs. In fact, there's an advisory that just came out from the city of Boone. They are asking, the whole city is asking residents of Boone to stay home unless it is absolutely essential to go out, because there is quite a bit of damage there. So again, it's a true thing. If you are not in an emergency situation, please just stay in whatever home or building you are right now. And then at that point, we will keep an eye on how things progress as we go throughout the day.
This is pretty unbelievable, Brandon.
It is, you know, and that wind gust of 99 in Marshalltown, if that's legitimate, that is, like you said, a very intense wind gust for sure. That would just be really remarkable if that was the case.
Yeah, so that live video you were seeing there was an Ankeny of just one of many, many, many trees down across central Iowa, blocking traffic. Might be a group effort here to clean up the mess today. It's pretty unbelievable what is happening across central Iowa, all due to straight line winds. No tornadoes have been reported or confirmed by anyone. I think this is just a good old-fashioned straight line wind event. Bow echo moving across central Iowa. This may end up being a derecho when it's said and done.
It's very possible. Yeah, it's hard to say right now, but I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Yeah, and some of the there are certain requirements to call it a derecho. It has to last 6 hours. It has to cause a certain number of damage reports, and it has to cover a certain amount of ground. So
it'll really be dependent on how far this progresses going into Wisconsin and Illinois, because a lot of times derechos do go across multiple states as we talk about a 6 hour time frame. But that's something that we'll assess later. I want to reset because we are approaching 12 o'clock. It is just about noon now, and we have been tracking pretty intense severe weather as it has pushed through our state. You see pretty
pretty much a big block of severe thunderstorm warnings all across eastern and southeastern Iowa now, from Highway 20 down to the south and east, as we see the most intense part of the storms will be pushing out of the local 5 News region here within the next 15 to 20 minutes, and they'll be knocking on the door for folks who live in eastern Iowa towards Cedar Rapids and Iowa City. Those are the areas that are up next. So if you know people in Cedar Rapids or Iowa City, they need to be monitoring this as well. I do want you to know that on the back side of this, we're still going to have rain, we're going to have thunder, we're going to have lightning, so it's not done, but the strongest wind gusts will be over for these areas, and it could still be a while before the rain totally comes to an end. We've also got the leading edge here of some pretty intense wind gusts that could be well in excess in some cases of 70 miles per hour, moving into Oskaloosa now, rolling through Knoxville. If you are in Albia, Monroe County, or anywhere in Mahaska County, also in Wapello County, I want you to be paying attention to this. If you are in these areas where you see basically the dark reds and oranges, you need to be in a safe place now. This is a great example. We say this in every type of severe weather event, that winds can do just as much, if not more damage than a tornado sometimes. Sometimes it's more widespread. This is a perfect example of that. We've had very intense wind gusts pushing across our region for a long time now, and it has caused significant damage for many areas.
Pretty incredible what we're seeing there, Brandon. So thank you so much for that. Severe thunderstorm watch is technically still in effect for central Iowa until 2 p.m. this afternoon. The severe threat is over for the western half of that watch. All right, so if this main line has passed your area, you're pretty much in the clear for severe weather the rest of the day today. Now, we still have downpours. We still have lightning in parts of central Iowa, including Des Moines. So maybe hold off on going outside until you're in the clear as far as the lightning and thunder goes. But the watch continues until 2 p.m. for central Iowa, and then it's in effect for eastern Iowa into Illinois, all the way to Chicago until 7 o'clock this evening for this singular storm system that has wreaked havoc across Iowa this entire morning. Brandon showed you all the current situation there with several warnings in effect at this moment. We're looking at a big old mess across eastern Iowa now as this system continues to bow out across Poweshiek County at this very moment. The strongest winds likely occurring in Poweshiek County, southern Tama County, and northern Mahaska County. Certainly some gusty winds expected down toward Monroe County, approaching Wapello County before too long. Wayne, Appanoose counties going to experience some gusty winds. You might end up being completely dry in Appanoose County, but there's a warning there because you could experience some of the outflow from these storms that could be up to 60 miles per hour down in southern Iowa, even northern Missouri. So this is one of those storms that might be remembered, Brandon. It's a serious straight line wind maker that's moving across Iowa.
I do want to go to some more video that we have in the Altoona area from a viewer that sent us this. Looks like you can see at least some debris around the yard, some branches and limbs that have come down, and I can't tell what that is. Oh, it's a swing hanging from the tree. It looked like something was on the ground, but clearly there's a lot of debris everywhere. Trees in the neighbor's yard, all over the place. And I know it was trash day for a lot of folks, and well, you might be searching for the trash can later on. I also know that we have had reports, I have not seen any confirmed things just yet, but that there are some semis blown over on I-35 in north central Iowa near Stratford. So that is something that we will keep a watch out for, but that's a good example too that you don't need to be on the road. This is a live feed from Chief Photographer Don Schmidt. I know moments ago he was in West Des Moines keeping track of the debris in that area and keeping track of just everything that has gone on in that area. He's had photos and videos of the damage at the Des Moines Buccaneers Arena, and it has been pretty intense.
Yeah, so Brandon, a lot of things interrupted today. Just one other thing that was passed along to us due to the severe weather. Grab-and-go meals for today for Urbandale schools has been canceled, and that will resume tomorrow. So just, you know, that sports practices, several roads listed there on the screen have been closed due to trees and power lines knocked over. Lots and lots of disruption out there today. And we're still seeing some serious winds out there. National Weather Service is relaying that winds near 100 miles per hour currently occurring or likely occurring in Tama County right now. I'm going to take a closer look at that. So that would reassure that 99-mile-per-hour gust that that was said to be measured in Marshalltown at the airport. It looks like right around Toledo is where that could be occurring right now. So that's obviously extremely damaging straight-line wind that's occurring there. The radar, whenever you see the whites, that's kind of off of our color table. That's how strong the wind is there. It's suggesting northern Poweshiek County, southern Tama County experiencing some serious wind at this time. And even though it's a good ways away from the radar, this system has a history of producing some extreme winds. So when I click on southern Tama County and it tells me that the winds are at 114 miles per hour, no, it's probably not necessarily that strong at the surface, but it's not that far off either due to what we have measured, and we have proof that some serious winds up to 100 miles per hour, I suppose, are possible in that part of the state.
And that's what the National Weather Service says, too. They believe in parts of Tama County, 100-mile-per-hour winds possible. And just to give you an idea of how expansive and how large this storm system is, there's already severe thunderstorm warnings in other states as a result of this. So it is very extensive, as significant wind damage likely. We've already had that, but as Taylor said, these white colors don't typically show up on our velocity tracker because they go off of the color table that we had set. So we could potentially be seeing wind gusts over 100 miles per hour in Toledo and into northern Poweshiek County. If you are in those areas, you need to be in a safe place now on the lowest floor of your home, of your building, away from windows and doors. Put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. That's typically my spiel when we have a tornado warning, but it applies in this case as well because we have significant winds pushing through. Higher wind gusts possible here than I've seen in my career as a meteorologist with storms and tracking storms with one line of storms, Taylor.
Yep. So we showed you earlier, Ankeny has several closures due to trees, power lines down. Let's take you to Waukee. Similar situations occurring there at the intersection of Dartmoor and Hickman Road. Traffic signals out. Intersection of University Avenue East off of Alice's Road, same situation. And again, we want to treat these as four-way stops if the power is out at any given stoplight or intersection that has stoplights. And I'm sure there are plenty of those across the metro and across central Iowa that are out. Numerous power outages. Last number I saw was over 30,000 in the Des Moines metro without power. And we have more viewer pictures that we're going to show you here in just 1 second. The worst of the wind is occurring right now, again, in Poweshiek and Tama counties. But we definitely had some issues in central Iowa earlier this morning over the past couple of hours. Shingles torn down in Ankeny. Looks like that's a big apartment complex where a lot of the shingles knocked off. I've heard a lot of reports of roof damage. There's someone's trampoline is in the middle of the road there in Grimes. In West Des Moines, tree knocked down. And we've had a lot of reports of trees knocked down throughout the morning. And I believe that's in Ankeny, Windsor Heights, excuse me. Tree knocked down, blocking the road on Colby Avenue. Numerous roads covered with trees, and boy, just a big mess. So we're hoping to get rid of this rain here soon so we can start cleaning up the mess. Still some showers lingering around the metro, so I don't know if I would head out to clean up just yet. You are safe to go on the road if you live in the Des Moines metro because the severe threat is done. But we do have some pockets of downpours around Des Moines that they may linger through the early afternoon, so we'll need the raincoat and the umbrella. Plenty of rain up in north central Iowa as well, which is always welcome, but it's this leading edge right here, this bow segment that continues to wreak havoc now in east central Iowa. That was not a good draw. Let me redo that.
Taylor, I wanted to mention really quickly that we've had significant crop damage reported in a lot of areas as well.
Okay.
And this is already a tough situation because farmers have been dealing with the drought. And now we get some rain that we need, but then they get wind damage along with it. So this is just not a good situation for farmers at all. I know that we have had a lot of damage related to crops as well. So just, tough.
A personal weather station in LeGrand, which is eastern Marshall County, at 11:52 measured a wind gust of 106 miles per hour. It's a personal weather station, so you take it with a slight grain of salt, but we had a 99-mile-per-hour gust that was measured at the Marshalltown Airport, which is a full-blown legit weather station, so I'm not ruling out that is something that's possible that occurred recently in Marshall County. I'd be interested to hear if there are is widespread damage in Marshalltown due to these straight line winds. And that type of wind is moving through Tama County and northern Poweshiek County as we speak. So we basically are treating this like a tornado warning because the type of wind we are seeing is capable of producing damage that tornadoes create. And it's more widespread than a tornado, obviously. Tornado is just kind of a localized thing, but this is a widespread, big time damaging wind event that is almost more dangerous than a tornado warning in some cases. Just to show you real quick here where we are at, we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in yellow. As this pushes into eastern Iowa, Ottumwa, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning for another 30 minutes. Also, Albia over to Oskaloosa and Grinnell, Montezuma up to Marshalltown, still under the severe thunderstorm warning for a little bit longer. We have another live shot here of another large tree all the way to the trunk, tipped over there. Can you tell me again where that's located?
I think it's in Windsor Heights.
Windsor Heights, okay, yeah. Thank you. Looks like Windsor Heights had several trees knocked over there. Boy, this is quite a sight. And again, over 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts were measured in Marshall County just 15 minutes ago. Thankfully, that is moving away from us into eastern Iowa, but Cedar Rapids is in line to feel the impacts of the same part of the storm that produced that 106-mile-per-hour gust in LeGrand. That's heading for Cedar Rapids now.
Yeah.
So Cedar Rapids within the hour is probably going to get some serious wind here.
And so many people in our region have family, friends, loved ones in the Cedar Rapids area, and we want you to go ahead and let them know that they've got some pretty intense storms coming their way. Also, folks that are in Williamsburg, Iowa City, down to Sigourney, and up into Waterloo as well, going to be getting some pretty intense storms. But yeah, at this point, the strongest of the winds will likely push into the Cedar Rapids area as well. So we have had quite a morning here in central Iowa. You've seen photos, videos, everything as it relates to storm damage. And I do want to check in if we have the map available on the power outages, just to show you. There we go. And at one point it was, thousands upon thousands of customers without power. 54,000 customers without power in the Des Moines Metro now. I believe that's the highest number we've seen. Nearly 5,000 in the Fort Dodge area. It looks like we have over 61,000 customers without power in the state of Iowa right now. 54,000 without power in the Des Moines Metro. So that is a lot of folks.
City of Ankeny is requesting folks stay off the roads right now. They are mobilizing heavy equipment to clear all the debris out of town that is covering the roads in particular. So again, if you live in the city of Ankeny, try to avoid travel as much as possible, especially here in the next couple of hours as crews get out and try to clean things up. It's a live look from our cameraman Don, who's out and about checking out what is going on the roads there. And you can definitely see a lot of twigs, a lot of branches, a lot of leaves covering parts of the road. Still plenty of folks heading back out. And with it being the lunch hour, I know it's asking a lot to ask folks to stay off the road completely. Don't try to, if you come across a power line, do not try to drive over that. It could be live, could cause, who knows, it could cause an issue out there. So you want to avoid that, avoid tree branches as much as possible. It's kind of a similar situation when we tell you to turn around, don't drown. Not a flash flood threat today, but definitely a lot of debris on the road that could make for very difficult travel throughout this afternoon.
Looks like several of the areas in eastern Iowa, I saw just near Iowa City, Coralville, Iowa, they're suspending public transit for a while, just knowing how intense these storms have been and knowing how intense they are going to be as they knock on the door in those areas. And I have been checking out the latest information from the airport as well. Likely to be big time delays or even cancellations today at the airport. I mentioned earlier that there was an American Airlines flight inbound from Chicago O'Hare that has been diverted, and based on what I'm seeing, looks like it has pretty much arrived back in Chicago. So that is not coming this way, as they'll be dealing with intense storms there later today as well. Numerous flights that are circling in the air or completely delayed. Pretty much everything that I see at the airport has been delayed, so just know that either it's going to be diverted or it's not going to land. In fact, it looks like some of them are being diverted towards the Omaha area now. So just keep an eye, check on your airlines, contact them if you've got travel plans today. And it looks like this is finally here about 12:15, Taylor, going to start exiting our area, at least the severe wind part of it.
Yeah. We'll give it maybe another 10 minutes here and then we'll wrap up coverage. I have a buddy in Marshalltown who says it sounds like there was some severe damage around town. The hospital has shattered front doors and parts of the roof missing. So that, again, is in Marshalltown. It sounds like Ankeny roads are in the worst shape as far as reports of widespread trees down and the road closures, 20-plus road closures in Ankeny due to debris. So that's why they're asking you to stay off of Ankeny roads for the time being while they get out there and clear all of that out. Yeah, it's just a complete mess out there. Let's talk about, again, what's happening right now. Our friends in Poweshiek County, down toward Mahaska County, and up toward Tama County, still getting the worst of this storm as it presses eastward, now making its way toward Williamsburg, Sigourney. Also down to the south, even though it doesn't look impressive on radar, there could be some 60-mile-per-hour winds or so down near Ottumwa, Centerville, and Bloomfield. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for those locations. Farther back to the west, we no longer have any severe weather, and we are in the clear for severe weather the rest of the day today, but still quite a bit of lingering rain, which is surprising me a little bit. But yes, we do have more showers and storms in central and western Iowa that continue to develop. So if that continues, we might have to watch out for some ponding on roads. But once again, Brandon, the flash flood threat today pretty low. Partially because we've been so dang dry recently.
I'll tell you, I was talking about the trash can situation. Our news director, Ryan Robertson, just sent us some pictures of, well, in Waukee, there are trash cans down pretty much everywhere, and there's garbage everywhere, too. So that's not fun. Obviously, that's a little bit easier cleanup than damage. But, yeah, you're going to be searching for your garbage can later on if today was your trash day, because I imagine it's elsewhere.
All right, Brandon. So I'm going to look at the velocity data here one more time to see where the strongest of the wind is, and I would imagine that's going to be northeast Poweshiek County, southern Tama County, moving into Iowa County right now. So looks like the absolute worst part of this storm is exiting our viewing area here, but certainly Belle Plains getting the worst of it right now and approaching Williamsburg. It's going to be a mess there as well with measurements of over 100-mile-per-hour straight line winds with the front part of this storm there, especially where you see that white. The wind is not as much of an issue at this point in central or western Iowa. So the warnings are exiting our area at this point. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, definitely need to brace for impact here within the next 20 minutes or so as this continues to race to the east, and we just continue to get inundated with damage reports. 2 semis blown over a southbound I-35 near Huxley earlier. Damage to barns and roofs in Hardin County. So now we're looking farther to the north at this point.
Looks like there are also semis down near I-35 and Highway 92.
Okay.
So kind of on the south edge of things. Yeah, so we've had numerous reports of that. It looks like there's a lot of issues along I-35 as well. So this is certainly, we've said it several times, but a situation where if you don't have an emergency and you don't absolutely need to travel, then just stay put, as we are going to be cleaning up damage for, well, all afternoon in some cases, if not a little bit longer than that.
All right. Well, Brandon, now that the threat is shifting away from us, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but I think we can probably wrap up coverage here.
I think so as well. I mean, these storms are pushing out into eastern Iowa now. We will keep an eye on things as they roll through our state. We will have more damage reports, more video, more social media type things for you all through the afternoon. And of course, you can expect a full comprehensive recap of the storms today on Local 5 News at 5 and at 6 p.m. Remember, you can always send us your photos, your videos on Facebook, Twitter, or by texting us. That number is going to be here on your screen. It's 515-457-1026. Again, 515-457-1026. Send us your damage reports, your photos, your videos, whatever you may have, and we'd love to see them there. of course, if somebody doesn't respond right away, know that we did receive them.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of reports, and we appreciate everyone sending us pictures and reports of what's happening out there. Before we let you go, I want to just mention one last report here. Several large sections of roofs blown off buildings along Old Highway 30 on south part of Marshalltown, an area that obviously just went through a terrible tornado just a couple of years ago. So we appreciate you all watching us this late morning and now into the afternoon. We will again keep you updated, as Brandon mentioned, online. WeAreIowa.com. Please text us any pictures that you can safely send us, and we will keep you updated with the latest coming up tonight at 5. Have a good day.